Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Game Vortex, and today we're diving back into the world of Nintendo Switch. Over the last couple of days there's been a lot of interesting development coming out from Japan and Nintendo specifically. Nintendo's president Tatsumi Kimishima actually had an interview with Nikkei in Japan where a lot of stuff came out that I think is quite interesting, and today we're going to be talking about it. I'm going to cover several news at the same time, but I'm going to start with the most intriguing and the most important one, is that Nintendo is looking for a VR, the virtual reality solution for the Nintendo Switch. But at the moment they're concentrating on solving the major problem before adding the support to this thing. Now I'm going to wait in on that in a bit. I just wanted to tell you what the Nintendo's president actually said. So basically right now they're saying that they don't want to introduce this kind of a thing because they said that the VR is not mainstream ready yet. Basically they try to solve the problem of nausea and other things. So they want people to play for hours on end without having any problems. So until they can solve those problems, they won't release the this add-on for the Switch. Now how would that work? With two things. First of all, is that console is portable. It's not going to be something like Galaxy. What is that thing they have? The Gear VR that I have, where you slide your phone on it, because that's a 6-inch tablet. You're not going to strap that to your face. So the only solution would be to have it in a docked mode while you're using some kind of a VR headset. Now the problem here is that the Nintendo Switch by itself is not powerful enough to do the VR. You have to remember, to do the VR, you basically need to split the screen into two. It's already going to be very difficult because the resolution of the Nintendo Switch is very low and it doesn't have enough horsepower to basically process recommended 60 FPS, double of that, 120/60 for each eye. So they say that they might need some sort of basically unit that will connect to Nintendo Switch apart from the headset that could load the needed power for the headset, basically take away some of the processing from the Switch itself and do it on that unit. I mean, Sony's doing similar thing with the PlayStation VR, but that processing box is just adding not any kind of graphical power, it just actually splits the signal, processes it so you can actually see the image as one on the TV instead of like two different eyes like you see on the Oculus, for example, when you have someone looking at what you're playing. So what else did he actually say? So adding Switch to the VR may seem far-fetched given the console's portability and as yet, of course, unconfirmed tech specs because we don't know exactly what's inside. But yeah, it's gonna have some kind of peripheral. The console already has some kind of AR functionality, you know that yourself, right? So it seems like Nintendo is quite interested in this space. I mean, yeah, there was a Virtual Boy, don't forget that monstrosity, but that obviously is something else and it was probably ahead of its time. So Switch is gonna launch literally in about a month, if I'm not mistaken. And Nintendo is actually forecasting and hoping that the Nintendo Switch will basically become the new Wii, that they will easily sell 100 million units, which I'm not really sure about that. It depends on a lot. What he said in the interview about that, he said that the unique features of the Switch position it to sell as well as the Wii, which is also a big aim for them. The Wii is far and away Nintendo's best-selling home console, with all-time 101.6 million units sold, as compared to the Wii U, measly as they say 13.5 million. So yeah, the DS family sold 154 units, just in case if you want to know. Game Boy Advance 81, 3DS 65, but you have to remember when the 3DS released, it didn't actually sell at all, so they had to slash the price straight away, pretty much straight out of the gate. So this was this part of the news. Am I interested in that? No. Why? Because I mean, there's PlayStation VR, there's Oculus Rift right now, there is HTC Vive, and there's just way too many things on the market for the VR, but there's not a lot of compelling software. The developers are still learning how to make games for it. And at the moment, it doesn't seem that there's going to be much of a support. This is probably going to be something in the sense of the Gear VR, just a casual VR. Because to put it in a perspective, if you want a beautiful looking VR, then you need a lot of processing power. You need an amazing screen with a high pixel density. Even on my phone, which is 2K resolution, Galaxy S7, when you put it in, you can still see this pixelated shit all the time, or you can see dots on the screen. And that phone has like 500 something pixels per inch pixel density, whereas Switch just has 200 something, so it's going to be even more noticeable. The closer you put things like that to your face, the more noticeable it will be. And obviously you probably won't have to use the Switch to put to your face, obviously onto your head, but if they're gonna come up with some kind of a headset, still, like, you need a lot of power to power the good screens. So that was the first part of the news. And the second part of the news is, it seems that Nintendo Switch Online service will be priced at around half of the competition. I'm talking about Xbox Live, Gold, and PlayStation Plus. So whereas those charge about $60 for a year, according to the leaks, and also it was announced by the president again, who told Nikki that the service would cost between 2,000 and 3,000 yen per year. So that works out to about $30, or anywhere from 14 to 21 pound a year, depending on the place where you live. What do I think about it? For now, they didn't really show anything compelling at all for me to actually say that this is worth the money. It seems like they're just doing it because they think they can get away with it. Because PlayStation is doing it, because Xbox is doing it. But the thing is, they've been doing it for years. And they actually offered a lot of benefits, cloud saving and syncing and automatic updates in the background, or when the console is in suspended mode. You also get free games that you are allowed to keep, unlike the Nintendo's mediocre NES or SNES virtual console offering, where you only get one game for a month and you can only keep it for a month. Basically, I mean, I have friends who own every single Nintendo console, and they probably bought like Mario like 5 or 6 times in virtual console, because a lot of that stuff doesn't carry over. It remains to be seen if it's going to be possible to carry it over, but I highly doubt that. Knowing Nintendo, they'll try to milk you out of the money for as many times as they can possibly can. So this service, I mean, $30 is not bad, but it remains to be seen, like, what exactly are we paying for? Because they said you're gonna get a free trial, right? The problem that I have with this is that during that free trial, all the features that will become payable later are not gonna be available for you to test, because it just won't be ready by then. So by the time the actual features that you would probably want to pay for will launch, your trial will end and you will have to pay straight away. So basically, you're not really getting anything during that trial apart from free online. And knowing Nintendo in general, like, the way 10 years ago this company came out and said that they're not interested in online because players do not want to play online. And the way system is handled when you're trying to transfer things and your account and keys and all that stuff is very, very, very backwards as hell. And that's the reason what got me worried of why should we all pay for this. Because first you need to probably get your head straight, sort out your online, so it's competitive, it's good, it's awesome. Make sure that everything works and it's very intuitive, easy to use for anyone, that you can transfer your things and saves and everything easily. And then only after that, give it another half a year or a year, you start to introduce an online pay, sort of like PlayStation did with PlayStation 3. Now, during the PlayStation 3 time, it was not compulsory to have a PlayStation Plus to play online. Only when the PS4 came out that became the case. But Sony showed what the benefits were and people jumped on it. And I mean, it just keeps improving better and better and better. And it's not solid or anything. Xbox Live is obviously way better still, but it's getting there, and Nintendo really needs to sort this shit out before this stuff happens. So there we go. This is everything I wanted to say. So what I wanted to ask you, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is what do you think about Nintendo's VR proposition? Are you actually interested in this? Or do you think that's just a silly gimmick and they shouldn't bother with it and concentrate on the games more? I mean, I think they should probably just forget about VR because it remains to be seen if that thing ever becomes mainstream. And I mean, the console itself is already like a puzzle that you have to put together. These controllers, that controller, and then you're gonna have a VR on top of that, which is gonna be just like it's just gonna be a casual thing. It's not gonna be any kind of hardcore gaming in VR. If they can't make a Titanfall 2 run on the Switch, so don't expect any kind of decent VR stuff. But there might be some small, cool little games and tech demos and so on and so forth. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your support. Please click the subscribe button below, either on the left or on the right. Like the video, share it, write the comments below, and I'm always happy to read your comments. I hope you all having a great day, and I'll see you all on the next episode of Game Vortex.